Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. That's the Beatles. That's the Beatles. Because it's Music Monday, y'all. Happy Monday. I need to find a way to greet people. I still want to do that thing where I have a bowl of fruit. But, I feel weird eating it on camera. It'd be weird. Like, hi, I'm eating fruit. And then I'll offer it, and you guys will eat it all imaginary style. Like Peter Pan, right? Hi, Angie. How are you? Good morning. Angie. Angie. You can't say we never tried. With no money in our coats and no money... I forget some of the words. Angie, let me whisper in your ear that I will be in Boston next year. Me and Graham Elwood are coming to Boston in 2019, Angie. It'll likely be the summer. Mark your calendar. I'll be there. I'm going to ship up to Boston. Last time I was in Boston, I had a good old time, and I had the best lobster roll I've ever had in my frickin' life. But yeah, me and Graham will definitely be in Boston. Balthazar, ask Graham or Jamal about Streamlabs. I know, I need to do that. Thank you for the reminder, and for the Super Chat contribution, which includes a reminder. That's very, very kind of you. And, yeah, I gotta look into this. I understand. I'm very slow on unveiling tech upgrades with this show, and there's a number of reasons for that. But yeah, I gotta invest on some things. I need to figure out how to. I need to figure out a better situation when I have guests. I really don't like the Google Hangout forum, and also whenever we have a guest, I can't do the Google Hangout via the Restream software I use, so I can't stream it on Twitter and Facebook as well. I gotta figure that out. Anyway, and Angie, thank you for the compliment on my haircut. I gotta admit, it is different, but I kind of like just going like this, and then I'm ready. You know, I just kind of ready. Hello. I like that. What's up, Daniel? Happy Music Monday. What's up, Edwin? What's up, Frederick? What's up, Tim? What's up, Mike S.? Is Robo-Ron delayed? I don't get it. Robo-Ron, what's that? Explain. I'm missing. You made a reference to something and I forget what it is. I'm not hip. Oh, am I delayed? Oh, I hope this stream's not delayed. That would really be a bummer. It's looking good on my end. Everything's coming through clean on my end. What's up, Kayline? Good to see ya. Oh, man, we got 29. All right. What's up, Dwayne? What's up, Steven? 31. Boom! Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles or you post them in our Reddit subsection, and that's how we build the show. And today is Monday, which means it's Music Monday. So we talk a little bit about La Musica to kick off the show. And then I actually have some other news that we need to get into first as well. So I got a couple things, and then I'll get to your guys' articles. But I have an update on my Municipal Internet Task Force. There is a recent development that's an important one. Whether you're in California or not, this pertains to you. And some of you guys that are working on bringing municipal internet to your community, this is some really important news. So we're going to do that right after we talk some music. And I'm real excited to share that with you guys. But first, Music Monday. So I got a kind of more like just sort of vague one for this week. I am really stoked to go to a show on Friday. I am going to go to Topanga, out to Topanga, California, and I'm going to go see a singer-songwriter and an activist, and he's also an anarchist, named David Rovics. That's that last name is Rovics, And if you don't know who he is, check him out. Look into him. David Rovics, Rivics. In fact, I'm going to tweet at him right now so you guys can all learn who he is very easily, because I'm going to tweet right at the dude. All right, let me go ahead and do that. It's Music Monday, and Dave Rovics is the shout out. So he's coming to Topanga, which is kind of close to me. Not super close. It's kind of a bit of a drive, but it's a very pretty area. It's not an area I get to very often. So I plan to try to do a nice little sunset hike in the area, and then go see the concert. And Graham Elwood's supposed to join me because this venue seems like a really neat venue, and we thought they might be interested in doing a progressive comedy tour show with us. So we're going to go check it out. Have a nice little hike first. And yeah, it's going to be cool. So he is a protest singer-songwriter, very much in the vein of Phil Oakes, and he calls out corruption on all sides of the aisle. Basically, if you're a fan of the stuff that Jimmy Dore and myself are doing, and if you're a fan of Lee Camp, and if you're a fan of Tim Black, Humanist Report, basically, if you're a fan of calling out corruption in our system as a whole, and not just being a cheerleader for one side or another of a rigged system, David Rovics is the type of protest singer for you. He calls out the Democrats, he calls out the Republicans, he calls out capitalism. He does so unapologetically, and he's very, very topical. On the campaign trail, he wrote some really cool tunes. There's one where it's called If Hillary's a Progressive, and he was singing about, the campaign trail and singing about Clinton. It's a really, really clever song. One of the lines in it, I'll quote one of the lines. He goes, I'll be damned if I need to choose between two more plutocrats. If Hillary's a progressive, I'm Felix the cat. So he's great, all right? Point being, he's great. I'm going to see him on Friday. I'm really stoked for that. And there's some recommendations from you guys we'll get into. But I think it's important to kind of give a shout out to singers that have that lens going on, because protest music is alive and well, but it's harder to find, and it's a lot of it's more under the radar because we live in the era of the subgenre of the subgenre of the subgenre. And when I was even when I was first getting into music, it was before the internet. The internet was around, but the internet wasn't what it was now, obviously. And there was some early online resources back in the day, but it still largely relied on artists touring. And usually there was kind of a go-to venue where you were like, this is a venue that's bringing in acts that I'm interested in. And a scene sort of developed that way. And that was how you discovered music. And it was relatively easy to stay on top of what was going on. Now, venues don't really have a common theme all that often anymore because there's so much stuff going on and so many subgenres that punk rock means a million different things today. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's just where we're at. I think in many ways it's a neat thing. It's good. It's cool. But I think even though I'm not a teenager anymore, and that's probably part of it too. But I think even despite that, it's harder to keep track of what's out there than it was 15 years ago. So that being said, Long Beach has a couple music recommendations with us. Here is a group called Los Lavas, and it's surf rock with a modern vintage twist referred to as lava rock. Their website is thelavas.com, thelavaz.com, thelavas.com, and they're called Los Lavas, surf rock. I like some good surf rock. And Transers, the band, and it's spelled Transers. They are great LA punk rock music, and you can find them at facebook.com/transersband. Transers band. And then that other group was called Los Lavas. You can find them at the Lavas, LAVAZ.com, for some surf rock. So we got some punk rock, we got some surf rock, and we got some protest folk music via David Rovics. And again, and that recommendation is coming from me. Can't recommend that guy enough. If anyone's in the Southern California area, I recommend his show in Topanga on Friday night. I will be there. And yeah, I've been wanting to see David live for a couple years now. I used to play his music a lot on the Lefty Morning Show that I ran in Nashville, Tennessee. We would play David a lot. He's been doing it for a long time. I mean, I think he's been active since like the 90s, maybe even before then. So he's been around. He's great, and I've been waiting to see him for a few years. He tours the West Coast a lot because he's based out of Portland. And I'm stoked to finally get to see him this Friday night. Let me see if I got any other recommendations from you guys. I'll go to the chat for a bit here, and then we're going to go on to my municipal broadband task force news. Yeah, we got one more recommendation from Daniel. Let me go to this link and just see what it is. I can't play music because of copyright issues. Oh, good call. Bad Religion. A classic. Daniel recommends Bad Religion. The album he recommends is All Ages. Some other great Bad Religion albums to check out: Suffer, especially if you're not familiar with Bad Religion. I recommend starting out with Suffer. And then Process of Belief is a really good one too. And I get to see Bad Religion soon. I'm going to the Surf City Blitz in Hermosa Beach. And the night I'm going, or the day I'm going rather, the Interrupters are playing, Bad Religion's playing, Rancid's playing, and Social Distortion is playing. So I'm stoked for that. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Then we'll Muni broadband it up. Shout out to Boots Riley. That's a great shout out, Steven. Thank you for that. And I just saw, has anyone seen, I saw the new, Sorry to Bother You. I saw that. Has anyone seen that movie? I enjoyed it. Now, full disclaimer, I had really high hopes for it. So I was mildly disappointed. But overall, I still enjoyed it a lot. But I thought it kind of got like, I kind of thought it almost got like a little hokey at times. And I guess maybe I was hoping for a little more. But I liked it overall. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to potentially spoil anything. Overall, I still give it a 2 thumbs up and I highly recommend it. But I was like this much of me was a little disappointed. That's all. All right. So Medieval Times has surf rock spelled SERF. Balthazar says, now I want to go to Medieval Times, the restaurant, because I'm into cheesy stuff like that. I am a big sucker for the Renaissance Fair. In fact, that's going to be when we want to do a laid-back topic, which will maybe on Thursday we'll do that. We'll talk about the Renaissance Fair. Because, dude, I am a sucker for... I mean, some of you guys... I've been getting some feedback on the video about the ice volcanoes, where I just kind of like geeked out about the fact that it was a thing. And it was positive. People were like, "Oh, it's so nice seeing Ron geek out about science. We should send him more articles like that." And I encourage that in some ways, but in other ways, it'll be an opportunity for me to display my lack of knowledge when it comes to what's going on in the science world. I'm not hard to impress, is what I'm saying. Like I'm, you know. And whenever I talk to a scientist, I am impressed and my mind's blown. And then I'm also really freaking worried about the future because our government ignores the science community. They ignore every warning they give. They ignore all of the research. They ignore everything. That's why if you talk to any scientist, they are hella against everything we're doing. Unless, of course, their analysis are bought and paid for. If they're funded by oil and gas, different story. If they're not, they're going to be like, yeah, we're really doing some shit we shouldn't be doing. Really. Like my cousin and his wife, I just refer to both of them as my cousins now, you know, right? They're all family. But my cousin they're both like geniuses, and they're biomedical engineers. And so like every time we talk, like I ask them questions about just everything, and they just educate me on so much stuff. Like what we can potentially do with brackish water is like really freaking cool. And I can't explain it, but they can. Like they explain like how we could eventually be able to foster it and use it for like human consumption. Like we're still a little ways off, but it's not unrealistic to think we can get there. I can't explain how. They can. Willie Nelson gets a shout out. Suffer. Someone says Suffer, still a great album. Oh yeah, and some of you guys say you didn't see me as a Renaissance type. I am a huge geek when it comes to the Renaissance Fair. My first job was at the Renaissance Fair. Boom, now you know. I was a page. I assisted the king, and I wore a goofy costume. And a buddy of mine is actually a Renaissance Fair professional. He tours with the freaking Renaissance Fair. Joseph, it'd be interesting if you got a science person on, like a Neil deGrasse Tyson. Pasta, book Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm sure that'll be easy. On it, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And that guy's good at explaining it for the layman. You know, like he's good at that. So that would be a fun one. Kim points out that Suicidal Tendencies is playing the Surf City. I have so many stories about them. You know, I saw Suicidal Tendencies once. It's not my personal cup of tea, but they got a fuck of a following. I saw them once. I was really young. I was only like 12 when I saw them. But yeah. I don't know if they're playing the first day or the second day. But yeah. There's a big lineup on both days. You should come out, Kimmy. You should check it out. Should be a really cool concert. I think there's still tickets available. Tim says, nothing like watching grown men in armor beat the crap out of each other. I approve. It is pretty freaking cool. Jousting, right? How young was Ron when he went to his first concert? I was 8. I went to see Traffic with my parents. My first concert, kind of like by myself, like with friends. I went to see Everclear when I was in 7th grade, so I think I was like 12. I went to see Everclear with Fastball and Marcy Playground. And I think all 3 of those bands are still sort of around. Like they're kind of there. But my first concert ever, I went to see Traffic. And you know what was crazy? I didn't understand. So for anyone not in the know, Traffic is kind of a jam band. Like that's sort of what they were. Before the word jam band was around. And it was my first concert. It was like my first rock and roll show ever as a kid. So I just thought, after I saw Traffic, I thought that every rock band, when they played live, all of their songs were like 20 minutes long. Like I thought, because like their songs are really long, Traffic. So I thought every band was like that. Like I thought every band, they would play their hit songs, but it wasn't like it was on the radio. It was really long. So then when I went to my second concert, I realized that's not the case. But for like a year, I was just like, yeah, whenever rock bands play live, the songs are like 20 minutes. Like I really thought that. Like I thought like some pop song, they like have all these verses we never knew about. I thought that. My young impressionable mind. Because of the Traffic show. And then I saw who was the other? Elton John. I saw Elton John, and I was a big Elton John fan. I still am. I love Elton John. But I saw Elton John when I had double pneumonia because I was so excited about the show. But I got double pneumonia, And my parents were like, you're sick, you can't go. And I cried. I wanted to go so bad. And the doctor was like, look, he's been on a prescription medication for like 48 hours, so he's not contagious. If he feels up for it, you can take him. I can understand why you might not want to, but you can. So my parents took me, and I coughed the entire time, but had the time of, I mean, I was like 9, so you're like invincible as a 9-year-old. You don't, like I would just have to cough, and it was inconvenient, and then I was rocking out. Like that was it. So Kim gives a shout out for Billy Joel. I saw Billy Joel at Bonnaroo a couple years ago, and it was really cool. And yes, Elton John does have an incredible band, Schulte, as you point out. Pyramid saw Willie Nelson around 5 or 6. That's friggin' awesome. I saw Willie Nelson. I saw Willie Nelson at what festival was it? Pilgrimage in Tennessee. I saw Willie Nelson in Pilgrimage in Tennessee. Moose Gal, I love Guns N' Roses, Ron. How about you? Not a big Guns N' Roses guy. I mean, I appreciate them for what they were. I respect, well, I mean, Axl, I find kind of irritating as a person, but like, I respect them for what they did musically. Axl's got a fuck of a voice, but not my personal cup of tea. And I'm also a big Nirvana fan. Like, I'm a really, really big Nirvana fan, so, when them and Metallica, the way they were kind of juvenile around Kurt's death, I thought was pretty weak and in very poor form. So no, I'm not the biggest Guns N' Roses fan, not the biggest Metallica fan. Actually, politically, Metallica, I have no respect for at all. I mean, if you like their music, I get it. I know a lot of people that like Metallica, but politically, I have no respect for Metallica at all. I don't see how anybody could. You can like their music and acknowledge that they're horrible politically. Distillers, I enjoy the Distillers a lot, although I'm not as familiar as I'd like to be. God, I fucking love Music Monday. I really do. I love the fact that we just, yeah. Oh, and guys, I gotta, holy shit, someone saw Janis Joplin in 1966. Thomas, that's awesome, and I'm a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I could have been there, because I've been 27 since the year 1933. Wow, Janis, man. Dude, Janis Joplin, she was an alien. I mean, I don't mean literally. Someone's gonna... I mean that metaphorically. But some of these artists, it's just like, dude, they were aliens, man. They were from another planet. Elvis, Janis Joplin, I mean, someone's gonna take this and use it as a smear piece. They're like, Rob Placode thinks musicians were aliens. He's hurting the left. I mean it as a metaphor. Jilly gets it, though. She's like, she and Jimmy were not from here. Exactly. Deep Purple. Deep Purple's touring? Holy shit, Eric, I didn't even know that. I did not even know that. Oh, God. They're playing in Irvine? This Thursday. I might have to go. Deep Purple's... Judas Priest... Is Deep Purple headlining? I can show up late. Judas Priest is not my cup. I mean, I would watch them and enjoy it, but I'd rather just see Deep Purple. REM, good shout out. I went through... I feel like everybody goes through a heavy REM stage in college. Although I discovered my girlfriend did not. We were in the car, and REM came out, and I was just like, yeah, like everybody else, man. I had a big REM phase in college. She was like, I didn't have an REM phase in college. And I was like, all right, well, that's that. Love and Rockets and the Pixies. I'm more familiar with the Pixies. Love and Rockets, I hear about them a lot. I'm not super familiar. What little I've heard, I have liked a lot, though. Robin Hitchcock and the Egyptians, I'm not familiar with. Sue and the Banshees, I like a lot. John Mellencamp, I'm more of a Springsteen guy, I got to admit. Although I did go to college in John Mellencamp's town. That small town he sings about, I went to college there. Indiana University. Go Hoosiers. Book of R says, you all have a really strange taste, old person taste in music, and I'm older than most people. I think we named a lot of people. We didn't name just old people. But St. Vincent, Nico Case, I'm a fan of all them. I've never seen St. Vincent. I've seen Nico Case. I've seen the Decemberists twice. The Kills, I've not seen. Courtney Bartnett, I'm not familiar with. Kurt Vile, Sophie Tucker, Car Seat, Headrest. I haven't heard of all those. I'll have to check some of them out. Let's see. K-Line Reports asks about Canadian bands. I like Spirit of the West. I like Spirit of the West a lot. Nikki Goldenheart, was it Indiana, PA? No, it was Bloomington, Indiana. That's where Indiana University's at, and that's where I saw I saw a lot of shows there. But I saw John Mellencamp lives there, and that's where I went to college. Joy Division I like a lot, Tim. I like Joy Division a lot. Built to Spill I like Jameson, although I did do a video where I said I did not dig them live when I saw them. I saw Built to Spill live twice, and it was an incredibly disappointing show. It could have just been a weird off night. Other people in the chat, when we talked about that, said they saw Built to Spill and they rocked it. But Built to Spill is one of the few bands I have a negative experience of live. Although some bands, it's mixed. I once walked out of an Alkaline Trio show. For anyone not familiar with Alkaline Trio, they're a punk band originally out of Chicago, although I think some of them live in LA now. But they're great. They're one of my favorite bands. In high school, they were hammered. And their show, I was in high school, not them. But I saw them in high school, and they were hammered, and it was so bad I walked out of the show. I've seen them 3 other times since then, and they crushed it. So, I know that bands have off nights, and Daniel, I know, Daniel, you're a big Built to Spill guy. I get it. See, the thing, Built to Spill is 0 for 2 for me. I mean, if I had another chance to see them live, I probably would, but they are, and it was like a heavy 0 for 2. Like, it was like they really did not do it for me live. Alkaline Trio, it was like they're hammered. And I knew that. Like, I was like, they are hammered. And it was when Matt Skiba was going through a really rough time. And with addiction and so forth. So, yeah. The Clash. I love The Clash, Pam. And I can't wait until next month when I'm in the UK. I'm going to do a Clash walking tour. And I'm so excited for it. I can't freaking wait. Although, I might just text Rubella Ballet, the punk band that I got to meet the other week. And they might take me on their own band. K-Line Report, you said Canadian bands. I said Spirit of the West. A couple more shout-outs for Springsteen. I appreciate that. Courtney Barnett. Courtney Barnett. I will check her out. I'm not familiar. I will have to check her out because I'm not familiar. I like New Order, Tim. Yes. Dillinger 4, Jameson. Dillinger 4, I appreciate Dillinger 4 a lot. And I'm glad that Green Day paid them. For anyone not in the know, the American Idiot guitar riff was pretty much identical to a Dillinger 4 song. Was it intentional theft? Probably not. It was probably just a subconscious thing. But Green Day is rich. They're very, very rich. And Billy Joe did the right thing, and he paid Dillinger 4. I don't think he stole it on purpose. I think it was, kind of a subconscious thing. But he did the right thing, and he, it was brought to his attention, to my knowledge, and he heard it, and he's like, yeah, this is really derivative. I'm going to give him some money. So yeah, I was glad to see that. All right, we should probably do some other stuff here. Kravitz has a new album? No shit. All right. Balthazar likes Yngwie Malmsteen. I really appreciate the playing. But I'm kind of just more of a melody song guy. I appreciate great musicianship. I really do. But I'm more of a lyrics guy, and I'm more of like a Kayline, I don't think your question went through twice. I think I just accidentally answered it twice. So no apology necessary. I think I just forgot I answered it and just did it again. This is all in real time, you know? Doing the best I can. But yeah. So, great recommendations, you guys. Fantastic. And Mike, yes. Buzzcocks. Hell yes. I love the Buzzcocks. I got to see, I've never seen the Buzzcocks. I did a year or so ago. I got to see The Damned. And you want a band that tears it the fuck up live. Dude. Go see The Damned if you ever get a chance. Go see the frickin' Damned. Eric gives a shout out to Black Label Society. I saw Zakk Wylde with Ozzy, and it was awesome. And I'm so glad my younger cousin went through a 2-week-long goth phase just in time for her to get free tickets to Ozfest and have her cooler older cousin Ron be her chaperone. Yes! Because otherwise I never would have seen Ozzy. But yeah, my younger cousin, you know, she was like, I think about 13 at the time. I was a little older. I was like 17 or 18. So her mom was like, well, you need someone to chaperone you. How about your older cousin Ron? She was like, okay. So I took her. And, man, her goth phase lasted about 2 weeks, and damn am I glad it did. Dinosaur Jr. All right, so I have a fun Dinosaur Jr. story, and Joe, make this a separate clip. So Dinosaur Jr. is awesome, and they're fantastic live, and I had a really cool girlfriend in high school, and part of college too. We were kind of off and on for years, and she got me tickets to see Dinosaur Jr. And she wasn't familiar with Dinosaur Jr., but she knew I was really into Dinosaur Jr., so she got me Dinosaur Jr. tickets, and we went. And there was a really good opening band called Love Is Laughter. I don't know if they're still around, but they were really good. So anyway, we're watching Love Is Laughter, and the crowd was kind of trickling in slowly. And again, this girl was not familiar with Dinosaur Jr., so she's looking behind us. My girlfriend at the time is. She's like looking behind us, and she goes, "There's this guy standing behind us that, God, he looks like he's in bad shape, like he might need help or something. He's all disheveled, and he has a weird outfit on, and like he looks like he's about to fall over, and I don't know how he even got in here." I turned around, and it was Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr. And I go, "That's Jay Mascis. He's one of the most amazing guitar players in indie rock." And she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "That's Jay." And she's like, "Oh, he looks like he's in pain." And I was like, "No, he's fine. He's just kind of curmudgeon-y. I want to say hi to him." And of course I didn't. But it was totally Jay Mascis. She's like, "Does that guy need help?" And I'm like, "That's Jay." And then when Dinosaur Jr. took the stage, she realized Jay did need help. He needed some help from the rock and roll gods and his sixth string, and he got the help he needed, and so did we. You can end the clip there, Joe. All right. Daily Dope Show wants to know how I feel about dubstep and or rhythm or EDM. Not super fluent in a lot of that stuff, but appreciate it. Don't mind if it's on. I know there's some really innovative stuff going on in EDM right now. I'm not super familiar with all of it, but I definitely think it's a cool thing, and I hope to check out some of it when I'm in Manchester, because I know they got a pretty hot scene for that. So mostly, other than just experience at bars that specialize in playing that kind of music, I don't really know much more. But I appreciate it. And I appreciate the shout out to Kim Deal, Garden Gnome. Yeah. And Mike S. says, I love the Jay Mascis guitar sound. And of course, the shout out, to end all shout outs, the frickin' Beatles. All right, let's move on. All right, so I got an update about my task force here. And we're going to go to this article first, because this is something that's going on. And for those of you that are working on municipal internet in your communities, please take note of this and please act on this as soon as you possibly can, because the deadline's coming up. All right, this is Muni Networks, this website, and this is a group called Community Networks. And here's something that they're doing. Introducing the Community Networks Quick Start program, our new service with NEO partners. Determining if a publicly owned network is right for your community is a multi-step complex process. Many factors will influence whether or not the residents, business owners, and local leaders in your community will want to make an investment. For a limited time, a few select communities will receive special pricing to help spread the word about the Community Networks Quick Start program. When it comes to planning for deployment or expanding existing infrastructure, one of the most challenging unknowns is cost. With our new Community Networks Quick Start program, we will provide cost estimates for 3 possible models for communities who sign up for the service: full fiber to the premise, full wireless, or a hybrid. They'll consider size, population, and other characteristics of your community. Go to muninetworks.org to learn more about this. So, what is this essentially? Basically, this organization, which specializes in building community networks, municipal broadband, they will come to your community and they'll do an assessment of the type of network you should build, whether it needs to be full wireless, whether it needs to be fiber to the home, or a hybrid, as they mentioned, and they do an assessment for you. I emailed this information to the telecom director in Pasadena, where I live, Pasadena, California. And she did email me back and she said, we're not interested. What she said to me was, we did a full assessment, or we did an in-depth assessment less than a year ago. What she was referring to was the municipal broadband item on the agenda that we got on the agenda. That was on the agenda because of us, because when we showed up to City Hall and push for municipal internet, they put it on a municipal agenda because there were so many of us. So that's what she's referring to as the in-depth research that was done. And for those of you that have been following this since it started, what was the in-depth research that they did? They looked at one model, Beverly Hills, and they determined Beverly Hills is doing fiber to the home. This is how much it costs Beverly Hills. For us to do it in Pasadena, it would cost this much because this is how much bigger Pasadena is than Beverly Hills. We can't afford this. I guess in her mind, that qualifies as an in-depth study. Looking at one case study out of all the other ones, ignoring Chattanooga, Tennessee, Sandy, Oregon, Tacoma, Washington, ignoring Muni Networks, ignoring every other mechanism, every other method to get municipal broadband, ignoring the issue of net neutrality, looking at one case study in Southern California and determining we can't afford this. In her world, that's an in-depth study. I don't know if that would be considered such in any other world, but in hers, that's very in-depth. So, my next step in my personal quest is to try to show up to another city hall very soon, and I'm going to use this video to promote because I don't want to show up alone. I want to have as big of a group as possible. And I'm going to bring up the fact that this service is out there and that it was just denied. And it wasn't denied by the voters. It wasn't denied by the citizens. It wasn't even denied by the city council. It was just one person saying, no, we're not going to do this. And I guess they have the authority to do that technically, but I feel like this is something the citizens should have a say in. Now, here's how the plot thickens for me here in Pasadena. The telecom director, and that's not the official title, but it's not important. The telecom director in Pasadena has been on the Muni Networks podcast before. So she's familiar with the organization. And Pasadena, California was one of the cities they mentioned that has a lot of the potential to expand their municipal broadband. So she's familiar with the organization, is a friend of the organization, has been on their podcast, and just straight up said, no, we're not interested. We're not even interested in applying. I don't know why. I'm confused as to why. So I'm going to try to find out. Now, for those of you that are in other communities and you're having your own fights or your own quests, try to figure out a way to apply. Show up to your city hall as soon as you can with this information and apply. You know, people have been emailing me, what is the next step? What should I do next? This is what you should do next. I was denied, which sucks. You might not be. Some of you have told me your mayor's been supportive of the idea of net neutrality. Well, maybe they'll be willing to apply to this. And go to muninetworks.org to learn more. All right, so that's the task force update. And why it's this way in Pasadena, I don't know, but I'm working on finding out why. All right. So let's go on to your guys' articles. Finally, am I right? Huh? We're finally getting there. All right, this is from Christina. And I know that oops, I had to refresh here. Sorry about that, y'all. Christina, I promise we are going to get to your article very, very soon. Because I know for some reason I missed it last time. We're not going to miss it this time. All right, Chicago looking into a UBI. All right, let's see what Chicago's doing. Task force will study whether Chicago should impose a universal basic income plan to help struggling families. On his way out of office, Mayor Rahm Emanuel is set to create a task force that will consider whether to make monthly no-strings-attached payments to a group of Chicago families to help them make ends meet. Universal basic income is an idea that has been gaining traction recently among progressives and Northside Northside Oh, excuse me. Okay, sorry. I thought, all right. Northside Amaya Power introduced a resolution in June calling on Emanuel to launch a program to pay 1,000 families $500 every month. Now, Power, 47th, says he'll be part of a panel Emanuel will convene to figure out whether such a program can be implemented in Chicago. For Power, who's not running for re-election, paying people each month to help them buy food or cover housing or transportation costs is a way to combat the loss of whole classes of jobs through automation and the offshoring of industries. Emanuel also not taking a third term. It's tempting to think the task force is a way to take some credit for considering universal basic income, only to push the decision of whether to implement the program to his successor. Yeah, there's a good chance that's what's going on. Nonetheless, it's a good thing that this conversation is starting to happen. So, and I'll go to the chat soon to see what you guys are saying. I do think this is just sort of a political football coming from Rahm Emanuel. I do think that. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm going to take credit for introducing it, but I'll let the successors worry about the details. I do think that. Is it still a good thing it's being talked about? Yes, I think it is. I do favor a universal basic income while still understanding there's some complexities that come along with it. I think universal basic income is an inevitability because the jobs are just going away. We can only fight the technology so much, and it's not necessarily the technology we need to fight, it's the whim of the capitalist, and we're still at their mercy, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So I do think a universal basic income is an inevitability. However, with the universal basic income, you would see there would be the potential for rent to be just through the roof, because they'd be like, oh, well, you're getting all this money each month now, so rent's going to be here. So there's going to have to be some controls that come along with it. And so it's not that simple as we're just giving people money, they're putting it back into the economy, and everyone wins. It's not quite that simple. There are some more complexities, and if people get priced out of rent, we're going to have a whole new set of problems. And that is a liability. So it has to be implemented the right way. Now, of course, again, I am pro universal basic income because I think it is an inevitability, and I'm for it. But my concern is prices running rampant, which is the obvious. I mean, anyone that brings up UBI, they will bring up that is a concern, that is an issue we will need to address. Let me see what you guys are saying about UBI and what Chicago is doing. Chicago! With UBI, we can volunteer for nonprofits. That's a good point, Chili. That is a very good point. Daniel, however, points out UBI is very much a Band-Aid because there's a bigger problem going on. There's some truth in that. Let's see. And Peter points out that this particular thing in Chicago doesn't necessarily seem like UBI because it's not for everyone. Almost seems like a welfare type thing. And yeah, that is true. It's not for everybody. So it's not like it's just a universal basic income that's going for everyone. It's just a select group of families. And it's not clear why exactly, but I guess that's where they're starting. Musco says, I believe Al Power hopes this becomes statewide. He might run for state treasurer and want to implement UBI. That'd be a good thing. I hope you're right. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll keep an eye on what Chicago's doing. And yeah, right now it just kind of seems like it's at its beginning stages. So we'll see how it unfolds here. And let's see. We got some more articles coming up here. All right, I'm going to try to go in order. We're not going to get to everybody, unfortunately, but I'm going to do the best I can. This is from Marcus, and this is about Ben Jealous. Oh, this is some good news. Check this out. And I said good news sarcastically. As Ben Jealous runs to the left, some Democrats keep distance or embrace Hogan. Democratic gubernatorial nominee Ben Jealous is a rock star in national progressive circles. Bernie Sanders has visited Maryland twice to deliver his blessing. Other prominent senators, including Cory Booker and Kristen Gillibrand, also have come to praise Jealous. I guess according to this author, they are part of the progressive circles. Cory Booker and Kristen Gillibrand. I disagree with that designation for them, but okay. But at home, Jealous is showing weakness with a key constituency, Maryland Democratic officials. While some party leaders are working hard to elect him, some current and former Democratic leaders are keeping their distance, alienated by Jealous's left-leaning positions and several political missteps. All right, so this Tim Maloney guy is a former delegate. He's one of the latter, a veteran of Maryland Democratic politics who actively supported, has lined up this year behind Hogan. What is his reason? Ben Jealous's platform is so extreme, so undisciplined, and so reckless, it would be bad for the state of Maryland and bad for the Democratic Party. What's so extreme? This is... Okay, so why aren't you just with the Republicans? I don't understand. If you're a conservative, there's a party for you. They're the Republicans. How? Oh, Ben Jealous is too extreme. He wants to give people health care. He's for living wages. He's for the environment. He's for... that's way too extreme. Okay, then the Republicans are right over there. Why aren't you in their party? Why is it... I mean, like... I'd be curious to talk to... You know, sometimes I do panels on shows where there's conservatives on it. And... every time I do one of those, I'm so tempted to just be like, can I ask you guys a question? What are you bummed out about? You're winning at every level. You have two parties to pick from. If you're a conservative who is okay with gay people, you got the Democrats. If you're a conservative who still likes to go to the megachurch on Sunday, you got the Republicans. If you're a conservative that is a little disenfranchised with the status quo. You got the libertarians. So you got three. You have three parties to pick from. I don't have any. I don't have any. Like progressives, we have the Green Party. That's it. And they, you know, haven't really been winning a lot. So we have no party. They have three. You have three parties to pick from. And really only two parties have power. And it's set up that way. It's not that the Green Party loses because they're bad. It's set up against third parties. So only two parties have all the power. And if you're a conservative, you can pick from either one. At the establishment level, the Democrats are a conservative party. They're a center-right party. The Republicans are a fringe-right party. And here you just see another example of that. Ben Jealous running on a platform most Americans want. Running on a platform that other countries take for granted. That's considered extreme, according to some of these Maryland Democrats. And Ben Jealous also points out the fact that he's a capitalist. And that's too extreme. Like, he points out the fact that he's a capitalist, but he entertains this notion, at least, you know, to my understanding, he entertains this notion that we can have a proper social safety net and still have what he defines as capitalism. And for some people, that's still too extreme. How is it? Wow. That's actually what the Democratic Party is supposed to be about. Like, in the contemporary American sense. That's what they're actually supposed to be about. That's exactly what... And again, I'm applying it to the contemporary American sense. So... All right. Thank you for sharing that, Marcus. This is from Edwin. And this will probably be our last one today, guys. It's already 10 till. And we'll end on something a little lighter. Although I guess overall today was a pretty light day, which I'm fine with. Anthony Bourdain's final Parts Unknown season, premieres with a heartbreaking moment. Is this a spoiler? Oh, yeah. The final season of Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, premiered on Sunday night, and it brought fans to tears. Bourdain, who died by suicide in June, spoke with WKML while on location in Kenya about how lucky he was. I fucking pinch myself because I cannot fucking believe I get to do this or see this ever, or that I ever would, Bourdain said, reflecting on how far he's come from his humble roots. Because at 44 years old, dunking fries, I knew with absolute certainty that I would never, ever see Rome, much less this. Aww. Yeah, and I saw, you know, I follow Kamau Bell. I used to know WKML Bell because I did some shows with him, you know, before he got his TV shows. I guess I still know him, but, you know, it's not like I'm, like, really all that good in touch with him. But yeah, so I still follow him on all the social media. And he was Instagramming about this and saying that it was very heartfelt and that it was very difficult for him because, you know, him and Bourdain became friends. They went to Kenya together. And what's so cool about Anthony Bourdain is that he really was the kind of culturarian. And that's not a word. At least I don't think it is. But he just really embraced culture, and he celebrated culture and life through food and through music. He was a big punk rocker too. And I was late to the party on him. In fact, it was you guys that turned me on to Anthony Bourdain. I knew of him. I you know, was cognizant of him, but I wasn't super, and I never read any of his books. I read Kitchen Confidential because you guys told me I should. And I looked into more of what he was about, and I get why he was the juggernaut that he was. And it's sort of this universal message. It's celebrating the human experience via one of the mediums that makes the human experience special, whether it be through music, whether it be through food, or whatever else. In his case, it was food and a little bit of music. And I think that that's an important thing that we've really lost over the years. We used to have a lot of what I would define as contrarians, and now I feel like we have a lot less. I feel like things are more kind of regimented. And, full disclaimer, contrarian is at the end of the day kind of what I aspire to be. And I try to do that via comedy, via talking about what's going on in the world. And not everybody celebrates that. I think a lot of you guys do because you're here, but a lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of people, they're, if you're talking about anything other than politics, they get mad. A lot of people don't like the fact that I even do a Music Monday. And it goes beyond just me. It's applying to everyone else as well. And I kind of feel like that's not the right way to look at things. I think that contrarians really help move our society forward because they bridge the connections between politics and art. They bridge the connections between the human condition and politics. They bridge the connections between music and politics, between comedy and politics, between life and experience and love, and the kind of need to at least try to reach for the utopia, even if we fall short of it. And that's one of the many reasons why I consider myself a very progressive person. I feel like as a human species, we can do better than what we're doing. And why the hell not try? Why the hell not try? And a lot of things that would really make this country here in the United States a hell of a lot different are not unattainable. Universal health care is not unattainable in this country. Anyone that tells you otherwise is either grossly misinformed or lying to you. That's just the truth. We have the money to do it many times over. And it would actually save us money. We're already spending it. When someone's like, how are we going to afford Medicare? We're already spending the money. Look at the analysis that the Koch brothers did, of all people. The frickin' Koch brothers. A study they funded found that Medicare for all would save us money. We're already spending the money. We, the people, are already spending the money. We spend more on healthcare and get less than every other industrialized nation. Boom. We can end fracking. We can have a real Green New Deal. We can invest in sustainable energy. We can break our dependence on fossil fuels. Those are not unattainable things, nor are they unaffordable things. Let me go to you guys to end it. See what you guys are saying about this. I feel like we ended on a kind of theme, which I kind of like. Some of you guys are still giving a shout out for Joy Division. I'll take it. Edwin, yes, I read Kitchen Confidential and I enjoyed it very much. It was fun. It was just a fun, light read. He really liked to talk about him getting laid. He really liked to talk about that, and I can see why he was a big Bukowski guy. I'm a big Bukowski fan too. Pam Ryan points out Bezos could end world hunger for 10 years. He sure could. Chris is saying, I predict a second revolution in the next 30 to 50 years. We're already seeing history repeat itself, and we're in the 1920s era in wealth inequality. I agree with you, Chris, and I really hope we take the direction that they did back then and we go towards the rise of labor. That's how it happened back then, right? After the Great Depression, we saw FDR. We saw the rise of labor, and we enjoyed prosperity in this country for 30 years. Then neoliberalism came in and broke it all down. And that was the peak of this country. Really, I mean, the 30s through about the 60s. That was really when we got on a big upswing. Marcia is a leftist baby boomer. You're in good company. Let's see here. Punk rock and food. How? Municipal says we need a creative renaissance in the U.S. I agree with you. And I feel like it's kind of happening. We just got to start kind of fostering it and channeling it more. That's what I think. But yeah, I am pro-culturarian. I am pro making the connections. Instead of having fragmented universes, I'm all about making the connections. I like making the connections between music and comedy, and music and punk rock, and music and punk rock. I'm an idiot. Music and politics. You guys get it. I don't have to repeat myself. Zanga, if you're a lefty from LA, I recommend you go to the David Rovick show on Friday. And I also recommend you go to Politics Night at the Dojo. That's coming up this Wednesday. Yeah. Politics Night at the Dojo is this Wednesday for all my LA friends. That's at the Sycamore Tavern right on Sunset Boulevard. Alonzo Bowden is headlining. I'm going to be there. All the other Politics Night comics are going to be there. Please come check out that show if you can. That's right on Sunset Boulevard. Politics Night at the Dojo. If you tweet at me within the next couple minutes, I'll put you on the guest list. So check it out. Little bit of housekeeping, some upcoming tour dates. Gainesville, Florida, we just confirmed January 9th, I'm going to be in Gainesville, Florida. Gainesville, Florida, January 9th. That's going to be coming. January 11th, Orlando, Florida. Those dates were just confirmed. Gainesville, the ticket link's not up yet. Orlando, the ticket link is up. Some more dates coming up. Sacramento, California, November 2nd. San Francisco, California, November 3rd. Get your tickets now. We only got a couple handfuls left, so get your tickets now. You can go to ronplacone.com for tickets. Also, November 10th, Austin, Texas, at ZT, our sponsor, ZHITEA.com. Their T kind of rules. Get tickets for November 10th. We're celebrating the grand opening of their new store. It's going to be a fun party. November 10th, Austin, Texas. And November 23rd, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Come hang out with me in my hometown. Tickets for all those shows are available at ronplacone.com. And Los Angeles, Politics Night at the Dojo is Wednesday night. Alonzo Bowden headlines. Guys, we are totally out of time, and I actually really got to pee. So, I'll be back on Wednesday. No show tomorrow because I'm filling in on Aggressive Progressives. Jimmy Dore is in Italy, so I'm going to be subbing in on Aggressive Progressive Son. So, no show tomorrow for Get Your News On With Ron. Please do tune in over on Aggressive Progressives, over on The Young Turks, though, and check out that. You guys are the greatest. I will see you Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, of course, if you want to support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/ronplacone. To pay what you can level, you get a bunch of perks, and you help me build this show. I love you all very much. I will see you Wednesday. Peace.